Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. My name's Tom. I am your host. Today is Sunday, June 2nd, 2019. We are one day out from NXT Takeover 25. It was a great show. I'll be getting into the results and everything with that. But first, I want to thank everybody for listening and subscribing on Podbean, Spotify, Apple, Google, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and right here live every Sunday on Twitch at 3 p.m. Central Time. And thanks to everybody who is following on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. On all of those, it's at Catch, Hook, Shoot. And don't forget to check out the Patreon page at patreon.com/catchhookshoot. Check out some of the benefits and different tiers that we got there. And also the Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/catchhookshoot. Got four pretty cool designs, at least I think they are. Designed them myself. So head on over there, check those out, pick one up for yourself. And as I have said before, any money that's made off of either one of those sites goes back into the show for upgrades and equipment, travel to conventions and events and things like that. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And don't forget to head on over to wrestlingbehindringside.com and pick up your tickets for the WBR FanFest 2020, taking place July 25th of next year, 2020. The Super VIP tickets go on sale next week, June the 7th. Those are $200 each, gets you 15 photo ops. That alone is worth the price. The first two announced superstars for the show are Paul Roma and the Patriot Del Wilkes, with a lot more to come in the coming weeks. So again, head on over to wrestlingbehindringside.com and check that out. And don't forget, I will be having the Break the Code contest here on Catch, Hook, Shoot for 2 VIP tickets. That'll be starting in July, on July 4th weekend. So make sure you come back and check that out and keep track of the clues that I'll be dropping so that you can win yourself a pair of tickets. So let's get into what's been going on this week in wrestling. First thing I want to talk about was this new segment on Raw that they introduced this past week with Corey Graves called the Electric Chair. Looks to be an interview segment. And basically they have an electric chair sitting in the ring. A superstar comes down and they take questions from the audience. Kind of a cool concept. I don't know if I like the whole electric chair gimmick, but the concept I like, taking questions from the audience. Supposedly the people who asked questions this past week were not plants. But I guess they were, the questions were pre-screened, so they knew what was coming. But an interesting little tidbit that came out of that segment was something Sami Zayn said. He was the guest on the show, and he, playing his heel role, which he's been doing very well the last few weeks since he came back. But kind of taking digs at the fans who were asking him questions and basically saying, you could have asked me anything, you could have, whatever. And then he threw out there, you could have asked me about AEW. And there's been some back and forth about, was this scripted? Did he go into business for himself with this? I'm of the opinion, yes, it was scripted, just to, get some heat. And, because if it wasn't, yes, Raw is live, but they are on a 15-second delay. So if it was that big of a deal, him saying that, they could have edited it out instantly and it would have never gotten on the air. So I'm pretty sure that was something that was planned. Coming up this week on Raw, ahead of the Super Showdown event taking place in Saudi Arabia this coming Friday, The Undertaker is going to be making an appearance on Raw and on SmackDown. And Goldberg is going to be making an appearance on SmackDown for the first time ever. Apparently, he's never appeared on SmackDown. I didn't know that. I mean, when he was full time with WWE, I just kind of assumed he had been on SmackDown, but I guess not. So let's kind of preview the Super Showdown coming up on Friday the 7th. We've got Triple H coming back again against Randy Orton. Should be a fantastic match. I mean, these two have never put on a bad match. I don't think either one of them is capable of putting on a bad match at this point. So it should be entertaining. It's just a basic, singles match. Obviously, there's a lot of history with these guys, so we'll see what happens with that one. And of course, we've got Goldberg versus The Undertaker. First time ever these guys are meeting, so I'm looking forward to this one. Of course, I think most people know Undertaker is my favorite WWE superstar, as you can see. So I Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. We've got Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor defending the Intercontinental Championship against Andrade, Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon, Kofi Kingston defending the WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins defending the Universal title against Baron Corbin, and Lars Sullivan taking on all three members of Lucha House Party. Now this one kind of interesting with Lars. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding him the last few weeks because of some remarks that were made on social media several years ago. But yeah, so I mean it's just more to build up Lars as just that monster heel. So I think if anything, it should be entertaining. Hopefully, it's not just a ridiculous squash type match. And then we have the 50-man battle royal. Now this is being hyped as just a battle royal, not a Royal Rumble. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work. I don't think I've ever seen 50 men inside a wrestling ring at the same time, so it's going to be crowded in there. But I think it's just kind of a way to get as many people on the show as they can. Kind of what they do with WrestleMania with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So it should be interesting. Don't know if it's necessarily going to be good, but hey, 50-man Battle Royal, as far as I'm aware, it's the first time, at least for a single ring. Obviously, WCW used to do 60-man Battle Royals, but that was a 3-ring ordeal. So it'll be interesting to see how they pull that one off. Yeah, I'm curious to see if Brock Lesnar is going to have any kind of involvement in anything in this. Now, he has been advertised for the show, and he came out on Raw last week, supposedly to cash in. Then when he found out, oh, I have a year to cash it in, he kind of walked out, said screw you to Seth Rollins. But then Paul Heyman announced on social media that he is going to be cashing in against Seth Rollins on Monday. So I'm wondering how that's going to all work out. I guess we'll have to see tomorrow night. So yeah, that's Super Showdown. Let's get into NXT Takeover 25. Awesome show as always from NXT. Every match just really, yeah, I don't even have the words for it. It was just a fantastic pay-per-view. Probably one of the best that NXT has ever put out, and that says a lot because all of the NXT Takeover events have been phenomenal. So let's go down the card here. First match of the night, which was actually my favorite match of the night. Matt Riddle defeated Roderick Strong. Just a great match between these two. Riddle did end up with the victory. The Street Profits are the new NXT Tag Team Champions. They won a 4-way ladder match, defeating Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. The Undisputed Era, which was Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. And Jackson Riker of the Forgotten Sons did make an appearance, kind of came in and beat everybody down, trying to help his guys win the titles. And then everybody else in the match kind of ganged up on Riker and got him out of there, and the match continued on. But just a fantastic ladder match. A lot of great high spots in this one. The Street Profits did come out victorious in that one. Velveteen Dream retained the North American Championship against Tyler Breeze. Again, another great match with these guys. It's good to see Tyler Breeze back in NXT. What looks to be on a permanent basis, according to what Triple H said in a media call earlier in the week. So, and I think that's the best move for Tyler Breeze. He was huge in NXT in his first run there. Didn't do a whole lot on the main roster. So I think it's great that they brought him back to NXT, where he's, I would think he's going to flourish again. Shayna Baszler retained the NXT Women's Championship against Io Shirai. Another great match with these two. Shayna did win by submission. After the match, Io Shirai kind of snapped and just beat down Shayna Baszler with the beat her down with a kendo stick and hit her with a couple of moonsaults. One of those moonsaults, she was holding a chair, so kind of. It was just a brutal beatdown. I don't know if this signals like a heel turn for Io Shirai or just kind of a more aggressive side of her that we're going to see going forward. But I definitely liked it. It definitely added to the match and to the story. And the main event, a fantastic match where Adam Cole defeated Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship. So. Adam Cole is your new NXT champion. If you have not seen it yet, definitely go back and watch it. It was just 5 really good matches. All of them told a great story. So I highly recommend you go back and check that one out. Getting into some other news here, some news from Impact. This past week, Brian Cage in an interview said he will be cleared, will be at Slammiversary to defend his World Championship against Michael Elgin. Talking about guys being cleared, Tommaso Ciampa appeared on the NXT Takeover pre-show and said he has been cleared for non-contact training. So he's on his way to getting back into the ring. It looks to be only a matter of time. He's making some great progress so far, it would appear. So it'll be interesting to see where he kind of fits in the NXT title picture when he makes it back to the ring. Some MLW news. Alex Hammerstone defeated Brian Pillman Jr. to become the first national openweight champion in MLW. Big announcement from AEW. The Chris Jericho and Hangman Page match for the World Championship to crown the first ever AEW World Champion will take place at All Out here in Chicago. Tickets for the StarCast 3 event that's attached to All Out went on sale this past week, and tickets for All Out go on sale June the 14th. Some other interesting wrestling related news from the week. If any of you guys listen to Edge and Christian's podcast, they did an interview with MVP this past week, and it was a really, really good one. Talked a lot about, his past and his thoughts on like the current state of wrestling, and how the business has evolved. And while he's not necessarily a fan of everything in the business or all the changes that have taken place in the business, he still, he gets it, is the best way I can put it. He still respects the business. He respects the guys that are in the business and the ones that are at the forefront of the business. One of the best things I think he said in this interview was he may not be a fan of the Young Bucks style of wrestling, but he is a fan of the Young Bucks. And I thought that was a really, really powerful statement from him as a veteran, guy who's been in the business for a long time. He, like I said, he gets it. He understands that the business is going to evolve. It's not going to stay the same forever. And that, it's like any other business, any other industry, any other sport. It's going to change over the years. The style is going to change. Otherwise, it's going to become stale. Fans are going to, they're going to walk away from it. It's going to get boring. That's why you don't see matches like Macho Man and Steamboat, or like Flair and Harley Race anymore. You don't see those kind of slow-moving, hour-long type matches anymore, because the fans, that's not what the fans want. And MVP said it himself. They don't have the attention span for it. Nobody's going to sit and watch guys trading headlocks for an hour. And I mean, that's oversimplifying it. Obviously, it's a lot more than going on than just headlocks, but it gets the point across. So if you have a chance, check out the Edge and Christian podcast with the interview from MVP from this week, because it was really, really good. Another big interview, actually a few big interviews this week that are getting a lot of attention, is with Jon Moxley, specifically on Chris Jericho's podcast. Had a lot to say about WWE and specifically about the creative process. And I think most people have probably heard it or read it by now, some of the stuff that he has said, but it's, Chris Jericho said this has been his most downloaded episode ever, and I can see why. I mean, it's a fantastic interview. It gives you a lot of kind of insight as far as what goes on in the WWE and how their creative process works. And I think, for me at least, it gave me really a good understanding of kind of why you see so many people trying to get out of the WWE and move on to other things. And it kind of makes you understand a little bit better what these wrestlers are going through in WWE, with not being able to get their own creative ideas across just because there's so much bureaucracy and red tape and so many hoops to jump through when it comes to creative. And I mean, it just, to me, I have so much respect for Jon Moxley for not just walking away, for fulfilling his contract. So many people have complained about Moxley over the last several weeks, and even more since this interview dropped, about he's ungrateful and he owes WWE everything and things like that. And I'm sitting here scratching my head. It's like, number one, he's not ungrateful. the first words out of his mouth for this interview was how grateful he is to Vince McMahon and the WWE for providing him and his family the life that they have. But that just because you're grateful for the living that a job provides you doesn't mean you owe that job your eternal loyalty. It's like anybody else who's in a job that they're not happy in. I mean, I've been there. I think everybody's been there at some point. Yes, you may be earning a good living, but just because that job is providing you a living doesn't mean you're bound to that job for life. If there's someplace else that you can go where you're going to earn equally as good of a living and be happier and be doing something more fulfilling, or something that you enjoy more, or something like that, you're going to do it. Anybody would. So anybody saying that he owes the WWE something or something like that, I mean, I'm sorry, it's hypocrisy is what it is, because there's no person on this earth that would not take the opportunity that Jon Moxley took. If you are stuck working a job, and I don't care if it's WWE, I don't care if it's a 9-to-5 office job or working construction or any kind of job out there, if you're not happy in what you're doing, you're going to look for something else that is going to make you happy, that's going to still provide you the same type of living. And if that opportunity arises, you're going to take it. And that's any person on earth would take that opportunity. And if you say that you wouldn't, I'm sorry, you're lying to yourself more than anything else, because Jon Moxley did absolutely everything the right way. He fulfilled all of his obligations. He never, just got up and walked out, which he said there were times he wanted to, but he didn't do it. He stayed professional, fulfilled all of his obligations, did everything he was supposed to do. His contract ended and he moved on to the next thing, which was AEW. You cannot, as an employer, you couldn't ask for more than that from any employee, I don't think. I mean, and I even saw people online, if WWE sucks so bad, then give back all the money they gave you. Why? He earned every dime. He fulfilled all of his contractual obligations, and that money was owed to him for fulfilling those obligations. So that honestly was the dumbest thing I saw written online, and I saw it more than once. If it's so horrible, then give all the money back. No, because I earned that. I mean, that's just how it is. You do the work, you've earned the money. That money is owed to you. What is not owed is everlasting allegiance to a job that you're not happy in. And like I said, I've been there myself. I've been in jobs. Yes, I was making good money, but it's like, what? I'm not happy here. I'm not, doing what I want to do, or whatever it might be. So I chose to look elsewhere, and found something that suited me better. And that's pretty much all it is. Okay, yeah, the only difference you're talking about is different industries. Whether. I mean, it's like saying, if you want to compare it to another sport, we'll compare it to the NFL. If, an NFL player, he could, making millions upon millions of dollars a year, but if he's not happy with the team he's playing for, he's going to, either look for a trade or not, choose not to sign a new contract with the team he's with when that contract is up, and he's going to try to sign with another team. It's the same thing. So I don't understand why people get on wrestlers so much about, they show no loyalty and things like that. It's not like, let's say if Roman Reigns shows up at a Ring of Honor event, that's showing no loyalty. Showing up at another company while you're still under contract with WWE, that shows a lack of loyalty. But if you're doing everything that's asked of you, fulfilling all of your contractual obligations as far as appearances and matches and things like that, then, you're owed every single dime that you collect, and you're, showing professionalism. I think that's all any employer can ask from any employee. So the kind of hate that Moxley's getting, and even that Jericho had gotten for being disloyal to the WWE or disrespecting the WWE, why? Because they chose to play for another team? I don't get that. That's like, living here in Chicago, if Chris Bryant, one of the Chicago Cubs, decided that he didn't want to play for the Cubs anymore, and when his contract ran out, he signed with the Cardinals. Chicago fans aren't going to be happy about it, but he's not doing anything wrong. I mean, should he be beholden to the Chicago Cubs for the rest of his life just because that's where he became a big star? No, it doesn't work that way. So, that's pretty much all I can say about that. I mean, but like I said, if you get a chance, check out the Jon Moxley interview on the Chris Jericho podcast. It's a really great interview. You hear Moxley open up a lot more than we ever have before about a lot of different topics, and talks a lot about the creative process in WWE, and it's very, very eye-opening. I mean, I think everybody's read a lot online in the dirt sheets and stuff like that about how a lot of people are not happy with the WWE creative process, but this gets into a lot of like detailed information, and like I said, it's very eye-opening, and it makes it a lot more understandable because we're not just talking in general terms. We're getting into specifics here about how that creative process works, and it really does sound like it is just bogged down, and there's just too many levels you have to go through to get something approved and things like that. So yeah, give that interview a listen because I think it again, I'll say it's very, very eye-opening. So that's pretty much all I've got for this week. It's kind of an abbreviated show here, but I will definitely be back next week with the results from the Super Showdown coming up on this Friday, and I'm going to get back into having some topics to talk about every week. Next week, I'm gonna talk a little bit about finishing holds and finishing moves, and yeah, finishers aren't really finishers anymore. I think a lot of you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm gonna dive into a little bit and kind of see what happened. Where did finishers stop being the end of a match? And because we see so many of them all the time now. You'll see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 finishers in a match, and it's still not over. You'll see guys hitting multiple finishers and multiple signature moves, and you think the match is over, and the guy kicks out at the last second, and it goes along the same lines as the false finish in wrestling. You see a lot more of those than you did several years ago. So tune in next week, check that one out. I think it's going to be a pretty good show. And again, I want to thank everybody for listening and subscribing on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and live right here every Sunday on Twitch at 3 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for following on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and LinkedIn at CatchHookShoot on all of those. Make sure you check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/CatchHookShoot, and the Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/CatchHookShoot. If you ever want to send an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, suggestions, anything like that, anything you'd like to see or hear on the show, please feel free to drop me a line. And make sure you head on over to WrestlingBehindRingside.com on June the 7th to pick up your Super VIP tickets for their WBR FanFest 2020 coming up July 25th of next year, 2020. I will be there with the show, recording some content, and it's going to be a great time. It's happening down in Hammond, Louisiana. And remember, I will be having the Break the Code contest for 2 VIP tickets for the show, and I'll say it again: those 2 VIP tickets do not include travel or accommodation, so you'll have to make your own way to Louisiana and cover your own hotel and everything. But as far as getting into the show and your photo ops and that kind of stuff, that is covered in these VIP tickets that I will be giving away, and that contest will start on July 4th weekend. So, like I said, that's pretty much all I've got for this week. Thank you, everybody, for checking out the show. As always, I hope you're enjoying it. Help spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, anybody who likes wrestling. Still trying to grow the show as much as possible. Still trying to, work on getting some interviews and things like that. The one interview that I had a couple of weeks ago with Molly Holly was awesome. I know it was only like a 30-second interview, but it was it was a thrill. So I'm hoping I can get some more stuff like that, even if it is just little brief snippets like that I can get from people. I'm hoping to get some more superstars on the show, so I will be working on that in the coming weeks, and if any of that pans out, you guys will be the first to know. So with that, I am going to sign off. I hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you guys soon.